The Copyright Office specifically says ideas are not protected. It is the expression of those ideas.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go. It's the first 2 weeks of a brand new quarter, which can only mean one thing. Be a Maker School is open for enrollment. So what exactly is Be a Maker School? It's an online course platform specifically for Western trades. You can learn from home and at your own pace and join a community of makers and entrepreneurs who can support you as you build skills and confidence in your newfound hobby or career. Be a Maker School offers courses in equine photography, cinch making, rawhide and leather braiding, silversmithing and engraving, leatherwork and tooling, and then there's also a business course called The Business of Making, where I am one of the instructors. That course specifically details all of the business aspects behind being a maker. Different sales channels, shipping, marketing, website, branding, email correspondence, goal setting, and a number of other topics. As I mentioned earlier, Be a Maker School is only open for enrollment for the first 2 weeks of every quarter. So if you're interested now, it's definitely worth checking out. Otherwise, you have to wait another 3 months. You can grab all of the info at beamaker.school. Again, that website is beamaker.school. I can't wait to hear how you have inspired and fostered the maker that is inside of you. Welcome to the very first Leaders of the West podcast episode for the year 2026. Oh, it is so weird to say that, but here we are nonetheless. And today's guest, you guys are going to love, especially if you are somebody who is in business. We have Andrea Sager. She is an attorney, an entrepreneur, and a fierce advocate for small business owners everywhere. Andrea and I have known each other for well over a decade and were reconnected earlier last year because I was in a mastermind that she was a coach in. She first started her career in corporate law, but she realized that her passion wasn't in representing massive corporations. It was in helping everyday entrepreneurs protect what they had worked so hard to build, especially retailers, because that is where she got her first start, as she also owned her own retail business when she was in law school. She went on to form Andrea Sager Law, and then she also founded the Legalpreneur, which is a company that is changing the way that small business owners have access to affordable, trustworthy legal support. And along the way, she has built her own very impressive personal brand as a speaker. She's a podcast host and author. She openly shares her journey as a business owner, a mom, a trailblazer in the entrepreneurial world. She is also the number 22 trademark attorney in the United States. Yes, you heard that correctly. She is in the top 25 trademark attorneys in the entire U.S. So there is no better guest than she to tackle today's topic head on. She has a story that really is, it's all about resilience and reinvention and creating resources that actually serve the people who need them most. I just cannot wait for you guys to hear her wisdom and perspective today. It is a great conversation. And you learn a little something that you maybe wouldn't expect about her at the very end of the show. So you're going to have to stick around for that to hear what exactly that is. But let's get right to it. Today's episode, we are sitting down with attorney at law, Andrea Sager. Welcome to the show. Andrea, I am so thrilled to have you here today. You and I, we go way back. Almost a decade, which, gosh, don't you hate to have to admit that sometimes? You're like, how is something actually 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that earlier this year because I realized like, oh, my entrepreneurial journey has been over a decade now, which is insane.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday. And then it also feels like it's been 50 years.
Yes.
So you and I first met back when you owned a boutique and I worked for the Boutique Hub. And now you
Yes.
are one of the top trademark attorneys in the country. Can you walk us through that journey, how you went from a boutique owner in law school to big law and now having launched your own practice and how you're in the top 20, 25 trademark attorneys in the US? Like, how did all
Yes.
of this happen?
I'm ranked number 22 currently. New rankings will be coming out very soon. So crossing our fingers that we move on up. If not, all good. It's just a fun little ranking that I never even knew existed until I was on it. And honestly, I attribute a lot of it to my days in the boutique hub because that's where I created a lot of my first business connections. So I launched my boutique in 2014, 2015, and even taking it farther back, I started on Poshmark. I was like one of the original like big sellers on Poshmark and then created my boutique from that and joined the boutique hub trying to create my own online store instead of just selling on Poshmark. We even branched into a brick and mortar store. We started manufacturing. Like I did the whole retail, wholesale shebang. And then in law school, I ended up getting my quote unquote dream job, which was in big law. And once I started in big law, I sold the boutique and I thought I was set for life. I said, I'm going to be married to my job, even though I was married at the time with a child. I wanted to work my way up to partner in big law, but very quickly I realized this place sucks. How do I get out of here as quickly as possible? And honestly, what happened was a lot of those boutique owners were coming to me asking for help. And somebody had to help them. My firm, they were a big firm. They didn't want to help them, which I understood. But I remember sitting in the office. I was in the tallest building in Cincinnati. I could watch a Cincinnati Reds game from my office. Like it was the most posh looking period of my life, like from the outside looking in. It really was like what you see on Suits. It was that fancy. It was a dream, quote unquote, but really inside I was just like, this sucks. I don't want to sit my butt in this chair for the next 30, 40 years of my life. Like I want to go and work with my friends. I want to go help them. I want to help this small business owner. And so I'm trying to plan my exit, but my now husband at the time, he didn't want me to quit, which I understand. I was the only one making money at the time. But I was absolutely miserable. Like it is hard to explain, Jesse. Like I was absolutely miserable. Like I would drink. I was drinking so much, just not a good situation. And finally, we had planned to move from Cincinnati to Houston, which is where my parents are. And we put our house for sale on a Monday. Wednesday, I remember texting my husband saying, "Hey, I want to quit today. Like I cannot take it another day." And he said, well, why don't you just wait until we have a contract on the house? That way we know it's going to sell. And I said, you know what? That's totally reasonable. I can do that. Friday comes along and the managing partner and my mentor come into the office and they basically offer me a PIP, a performance improvement plan, or a 3-month severance package. And they left my office. I tried to look so sad. They were like, it was Friday morning. They offered me, they said, take the weekend, go ahead to go home, take the weekend to think about it. I packed up my office so fast, Jesse. And I signed that piece of paper and they were like, we'll pay you over 3 months. I said, no, give me the money. I signed it. I gave it to them. I sent it to them on Monday and I said, I want all the money right now. And like, that's it. We'll cut ties now. And they said, okay. They gave me 3 months severance. I packed up all my stuff. We moved to Houston that night. So that Friday night is when I launched my firm. I remember I posted in the boutique hub and I got my first client that night because people had been coming to me asking questions and I had been warning them like, hey, I'm going to go out on my own soon. Just wait. I can help you when I go out on my own. That night I made that post and voila, Andrea Sager Law was born.
And here we are.
Here we are almost 8 years later, which is insane to think about.
Gosh, it really, really is. And in that time, that is when I first got connected with you, is when you really were focused on just those retailers that were members of the Boutique Hub, because so many of them had legal questions. Do I need to trademark my boutique name? Somebody else has this design that I created and they're copying me, but they changed 20% of it. And so technically they're not. And there were just so many details and I mean, thousands of members that all had this problem. But since then, over the last 8 years, you have branched out. And now what was your sole focus was retailers and small business owners has branched out to anything and everything, entrepreneurs across so many industries. So kind of a higher level question to kick things off. From your perspective, what is the biggest, what I would call maybe like legal blind spot that most small business owners have when protecting their work?
Now, it's going to depend on what work, but if you're talking about designs, their designs, first you have to know if it's protected with a copyright. Because let's take it a step back. Intellectual property. This is patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Patents are inventions of new things, not something that I cover, totally another ballgame. But if you ever need a patent attorney, I can get you a referral, just not my ballgame. Trademarks and copyrights, that is my jam. Trademarks are your brand identity. So your branding, your logo, your slogan, a product name, a service name, your podcast name, anything with a unique name within your business or a unique identifier, it can probably be protected with a trademark. Copyrights are your content, your creative work. So your designs, your photos, your blog posts. Each podcast episode is a copyright. And the cool thing about copyrights is you automatically have protection the moment the work is created. And speaking further on those copyrights and those designs, first you have to make sure that the design has enough creative work to it. So like talking about boutiques, a lot of them would be t-shirt designers or some kind of designer. And if it was text alone, just like a pretty font, that is not something that can be protected with a copyright. However, if there is design component to it, design elements, and it doesn't even have to be that crazy of a design, it just has to have some design component more than just letters. Then it's protected with the copyright, most likely. Then we get into okay, well, how much can it be changed? And the thing is, the laws were written so that you can't, like, people can copy, people can get inspiration to an extent. Now, there is no such thing as a 20% rule, 30% rule. That has never been a thing. So what it is the ordinary observer test. And it often gets very nuanced and complicated.
Right.
Because the actual law for copyright infringement is substantial similarity. If it is substantially similar, then it's copyright infringement. Great. We know that. Substantial similarity. What does that mean? That is where we get confused. It's like, okay, well, what does it mean to be substantially similar? So really what the courts are going by right now is the ordinary observer test. So if there's an ordinary observer, just like your everyday layperson, not somebody in the industry, it can't be a designer. That's not an ordinary person. But if an ordinary shopper looks at one design and they're like, oh, they also designed this, but it's somebody else, that is copyright infringement. Or somebody's infringing on somebody. The original, whoever created it first, has the copyright. And the secondary design, they're the ones that are infringing. So that's where it can get very complicated because, hey, what's an ordinary observer? Are they actually confused?
Yeah, no. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that I am so excited to have this conversation with you is because for so many business owners, like myself even, I mean, it is all very confusing because, again, it's legal jargon, first of all, which for those of us who are ordinary people and not lawyers, it is very difficult to understand. Much of, obviously, when it comes to trademarks, that goes through the government, which is also never very easy to understand. So there's just a lot of nuances in that, let alone, again, like you said, what can be trademarked, what can be copyright, what is a patent? There are different definitions for different elements. It's all very similar, but yet all very, very different. So
exactly.
One of the reasons that I wanted to have this conversation with you is because this has personally happened to me. Last year, we had somebody copy our entire website, like literally copy and paste it and launch their own of the West, except that it did have a different name. And they knew what they were doing to the point that they did undercut us by about $5 with all of our prices. So they didn't like copy paste. They did change the pricing to be cheaper than us, but everything else was copied and pasted. And I know that this is something that it's not the first. I mean, it was technically the first time that has happened to us. It probably will not be the last. I'm
Yeah.
telling you a story that you have heard from hundreds of business owners. This is nothing new, right? But for any business owner who is listening, who might face something similar, what is the very first step that they should take when they discover that they are being copied? And again, it probably does differ when it's something like us, which is an online platform, versus somebody who is designing attire. I mean, there are nuances. So let's hear it.
First step is to honor yourself because it's a rite of passage.
It is.
It is in the entrepreneur world. It is a rite of passage. It is going to happen to everyone. I am an intellectual property attorney. Other intellectual property attorneys copy me all the time. Listen, it's so fun. Every time it happens, I just laugh. Sometimes I'll reach out to them, but most of the time I let it go if it's not something that I hugely care about. But for most entrepreneurs, the first thing is to figure out, okay, is this copyright infringement or trademark infringement?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about a website first, because if they're copying the look of the website, the colors, the fonts, unfortunately, that probably is not infringement. However, if they take your website copy, that is infringement. And there is a current case. Some people may have heard about it, and I am not updated on this. It happened, I believe, earlier this year, late last year, where one influencer has actually sued another for copying her look. And this is
Oh.
huge in the IP world, because if there's anything that can be like, if there's anything that the judge says, like, yeah, we got to look at this, that is huge in this online world. Because traditionally, copying somebody's look or ideas, it is not copyright infringement. The Copyright Office specifically says ideas are not protected. It is the expression of those ideas. So I'm going to use you, Jesse, as an example. So your company, if they're selling, if they're providing services, the same type of services, they create like the same business idea, they're doing the same business, and they copy your colors, your fonts. Right now, probably not infringement.
Mm-hmm.
But if they took your website copy, they are using your photos, hands down, that is copyright infringement. Now, we'll have to wait to see what happens with this case. There may not be any resolution. It may just get thrown out. But that is one that we are patiently waiting to see if the judge says, yeah, we need to look at these claims, because that will be a big game changer in the online world. But right now, looks and ideas are not protected. And I use TikTok videos a lot of times for examples. Let's say you create a TikTok video for how to brush your hair. We're getting real
We
creative
love
this
it. We
morning.
love a simple example. It's easy for everybody to understand. We're here for it.
How to brush your hair. And you create this video, it goes viral. And in this video, you give steps 1, 2, 3. And another creator sees your video go viral, and they recreate your video word for word, but it's them talking, and they basically recreate it word for word. That is copyright infringement. However, if somebody else comes along and creates a video, how to brush your hair, they do 1, 2, 3, but it's an expression in their own words, like not word for word. It's the same ideas, but they're talking, it's in their own words. That probably is not infringement. So it's trying to decipher, are these just ideas that they're copying, or is it the actual expression of the ideas that they're copying? So that's one way to think about it. Really, you have to figure out, is it infringement? A lot of times you probably won't know on your own. So you do want to go to an attorney to know one way or the other. And I see this on TikTok all the time. I get tagged and feel free, if anybody tag me. I love getting tagged in videos on TikTok, because I'll either duet it, stitch it, but also it's a great example. Like, I like to just educate and teach people, like, yeah, this is infringement. Actually, this is not infringement. So I love a new opportunity to teach, especially on social media. But a lot of times it is just the ideas that are being copied. And unfortunately, that's not infringement.
Interesting. And again, this is an onion. There are so many layers to that. So I think specific examples help people. So let's say that you are a coach and you have a like course content and
Hmm.
somebody copies the course content, but they change things up, like maybe say like every other slide is changed. Is that something that is enforceable or not? Like, how would that work?
Potentially. So that like if every other slide is changed, it just depends. Sometimes it's honestly like I have to see it. I have to look at a
Right.
side by side and say yes or no. And like if every other slide is changed and they're like really changing the content, sure. But if they're removing like a plural or adding and, or removing an and, like little words that don't matter, probably still infringement.
That makes perfect sense. On the same topic, but a little bit of a different take is, are there sectors of industries or businesses that are more vulnerable than others because they can't trademark much? Or how do those types of entrepreneurs protect themselves?
I would say designers are very susceptible, and not because they can't protect it. Number one, a lot of times they're not aware, especially newer designers. They're not sure what can be protected or not. And
Mm-hmm.
also, they're fed a false story that, oh, it's too expensive to copyright your work. It's too expensive to enforce it. It's this, it's that. Don't even worry about it. You're going to get copied anyway. First of all, it's not too expensive. Protecting yourself, actually, when it comes to copyrights, you automatically have federal copyright protection the moment the work is created. You do not have to have a copyright registration. So if you find somebody copying you, like let's say they took your photo or they did copy your design or they screenshot something of yours and they posted it as their own, that is probably copyright infringement. And all you have to do is go to the platform where they posted it. So let's say they took your photo and they posted it as their own on Instagram. Not the same as sharing it to their stories, but if they actually post it as their own or even post it on their stories as their own,
Mm-hmm.
that is copyright infringement. And you can just Google Instagram copyright takedown, fill out their form, and it's going to be removed within a couple of days. You do not have to have a copyright registration because the copyright is automatic. You do have to provide info on how the copyright, how you created the work or when you created it. And sometimes they want proof of the date that it was created, but these forms are created under penalty of perjury. So if you lie, you could actually get in a lot of trouble, federal trouble. So don't do that. But
Note to self.
yeah, but don't underestimate protecting yourself. There's so many false narratives going around, especially in the online space, like, oh, it's too expensive, it's not worth it. No, it's not too expensive. It is worth it because that is your creation. Like that is your life's work, probably. And you have a lot of remedies available to you that don't require a lawyer. You can actually submit the copyright application on your own. You don't have to have a lawyer. We do it for clients all the time, but I'm also the first one to tell somebody like you don't have to hire a lawyer to do these things. You can just do it on your own. So there is benefit to having the copyright registration. You cannot sue someone for copyright infringement until you have a registration. And if you have the registration before somebody infringes, you're eligible for statutory damages in a copyright case. Long story short, basically makes a case that may be worth like 5 or 10,000 worth potentially like $100,000. So it can be very worth it if you're somebody that is constantly being copied, especially in the design. It's huge in the design world. If you're constantly being copied, I would get in a routine, even have somebody on your team that you teach to submit the copyright applications, because just having that registration is so powerful in a copyright infringement case. Right now, I have a case where she files them. She's a designer. I know you know who she is. I'm not going to say her name though, but she was ripped off by a pretty big wholesaler in LA. And this case, without the registration, maybe 20,000, but with the registration, like we're looking at, $150,000 that she could get in damages. So it is absolutely worth it to protect yourself. But it's also just being educated on like when it's worth it, when it's not worth it, because you're not going to want to hire me to go after an infringer if there's nothing to go after. So in that situation, if they're just reposting things on, or if they're posting your stuff online, they've posted this design online, you can just go to the platform yourself and get it taken down. Just submit the takedowns. And every online platform has these takedowns, because if not, that platform itself could be sued for copyright infringement. So this reporting form is their safe harbor to make sure they cannot be sued for copyright infringement. They have the same exact reporting form for trademark infringement, but you have to have the trademark registration. Because remember, copyrights, the protection is automatic. Trademarks, you have to have the registration. So for trademarks, I'm usually the biggest proponent in telling people, hey, your money typically is better spent first on a trademark application, and it takes over a year. So that's why you want to get those trademark registrations as soon as possible. Copyrights, yes, you want them, but it'll depend on, what kind of business you have, if you're being infringed upon with your copyrights a lot. But most of the time, really, you want to get those trademarks as soon as possible.
Okay, so this brings up two great questions, and you touched on these. So one, if we're into busting myths, I think one of the things that most business owners think is it's too expensive. And you touched on the fact that it's actually not. So what are some of what would we consider them, like low cost legal moves that entrepreneurs can make to protect themselves? Where should somebody start?
Yeah. So number one, always have the LLC. I know we're talking about an IP right now, but hands down, the moment you're starting to think about your business, even if you haven't launched, even if you haven't made a sale, the LLC, that protection is going to take you a long way. And long story short, ignore people that say, oh, don't worry until you're making a certain dollar amount for the LLC. It's wrong. It's false. Very bad information. You want the LLC as soon as possible. And I have a ton of TikTok videos on this, so you can go down that rabbit hole, because it irks me when I hear people say that. And it came from an accountant or somebody in finance. That's who the information came from.
Not the legal mind of a lawyer.
Yes.
Lawyers say something different. Your accountant says something different, which honestly, as a business owner, that is difficult. And we personally have been in that same situation where our accountant says one thing, our attorney says the other, and you're like, but wait a minute, aren't you guys kind of like the board of directors for my business? So what? It's like when mom and dad fight, right? So
yeah, exactly. Ultimately, the LLC protects you personally from liability, which is why you want it as soon as possible. What the people in finance, accounting, what they are talking about to wait until you're making a certain dollar amount, they're talking about the S Corp election, which is just a tax filing status. And it's not a question, oh, should I be an LLC or an S Corp? It's when should I make the S Corp election? Because you should be an LLC from day one. The S Corp election, that is when you do have to wait until you're making a certain dollar amount. They're not the same thing.
No, they are not. Protection is protection. Tax,
yes.
Benefits and mindset is its own ball game.
Yes, they can be done at the same time, which is why people get confused. But you always want that LLC protection, even if you're not yet able to make the S Corp election.
I love that. Okay, this has been such a great episode. First things first, you've talked a lot about TikTok. So where can people find you on TikTok, first of all, to make sure that they follow along and stay up to date with all of their legal questions?
At the Legalpreneur. I've been on TikTok for quite a while. I have 80,000 followers. So I love TikTok. I love when people come to ask questions, because honestly, I've created every video under the sun on TikTok. So please come ask questions, and I will gladly create a video answering your questions.
While we're on this topic though, where else can people find you? If somebody is if they're wrestling in their mind of, do I need a trademark for this, or is this something I should copyright, or is it even worth it? How can they connect with you? You also have some courses that are available that are self-service, right? I work on them myself, or vice versa. So there's a number of different touch points. Can you tell us those?
Yes. So if you're somebody that's like, hey, I don't have the time to teach myself, I don't want to learn, I want you to do it for me, go to andreasager.com. You can also email me, andrea@andreasager.com. That's the law firm. We can do it all for you. And if you are more of a DIYer, you want to learn, you have more time than money, thelegalpreneur.com. We have the Legalpreneur membership. We have our trademark course. We have all the contract templates you would need. We can file your LLC for you, all the legal resources that you would need without hiring an attorney. You can find that at thelegalpreneur.com. Hire an attorney, andreasager.com.
Okay, we can't let you go though without doing our rapid fire round. So first things first, what do you hope people remember most about you?
I hope that people remember that I made the legal stuff as understandable as possible. Like I took the intimidation factor out of it and people just remember like, oh, that's it. That's all we have to do. Because there's such this high barrier of like, oh, it's intimidating, it's expensive. And my goal has always been to just take that barrier down and just let people say like, hey, it's really not that confusing. It's not intimidating and it doesn't have to be expensive.
Oh, I love that. That is powerful. What is a non-negotiable in your life?
Right now, fitness. I'm in my get as fit as possible era. But also a lot of self-care. I have really been sitting with just taking care of myself because in building, one of the best law firms in the country, there's been a lot of work in there. And so now I'm really in this space of just caring for myself and my family, making sure that they're not seeing mommy work 24/7.
Ooh, that is something that I think all mothers, especially working mothers, wrestle with. Okay, the next question, I'm going to have to change it up a little bit for you. So for everybody else, it is, if you were a professional athlete, what would your walk-up song be? Andrea, you are a professional, I don't know that we would call it athlete, but we have not told the audience that you are a professional poker player. Do poker players have walk-up songs? Or are you already just like seated at the table when the match begins?
So usually we're already seated. However, at the World Series of Poker, they do have like at the main event, they do have like it's this whole production where you're like walking in and you've got like your crowd behind you and they'll play your walk-up song. I have not had that opportunity yet. Hopefully soon.
Okay. Well, when we see Andrea Sager on the World Series of Poker, what is your walk-up song going to be?
Oh my gosh, there's so many good songs that I would choose. Honestly, right now, I think it would be Ready for It by Taylor Swift.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so because I did talk about this a little bit, can you slightly divulge a little bit more of your professional poker playing history for our listeners? Because I feel like I've piqued their interest. I have not answered their question yet.
Yes. So I grew up playing poker. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I mean, my parents hosted home games growing up. So people ask now, like, when did you start playing poker? I was like, I came out of the womb playing poker. I don't know what you mean. But then I got married and he didn't want me to play poker. So I didn't play for about 10 years. And let me tell you, like, I was that little girl in high school going to like underground rooms. If anybody listening, if you've never seen the movie Rounders, do yourself a favor, go watch it. That was me in high school. I look back now and I think about it, I'm like, what was I thinking? How did my parents let me do this? Like, I would never let my kids
The lawyer in you is really questioning things.
so wild. Oh my gosh. And so towards the end of the marriage, when I was like, this is not for me, I literally was sitting at home one day, Jesse, and I was like, what did I do with all my time? Like, what did I used to do? And it clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to go play poker. That night, we were still married, hadn't said anything that I wanted to divorce. I said, I'm going to play poker tonight. And he just looked at me. He was like, okay. Jesse, I walked in, sat down and played poker, and I was like, oh, this is what I've missed for 10 years. And literally like a week or two later, I told him I wanted a divorce. And I've been playing ever since. I even bought and sold a poker club, and then just started playing more, studying more. Last year, 2024, I made the final table at the World Series for the Ladies Championship. And actually right now I'm getting ready to go play.
I love it. You are a multifaceted woman, right?
Yes.
A powerhouse. Okay, next question. Let's talk about favorite things. Do you have a favorite podcast, program, book, service, life hack, something? I mean, maybe a travel hack because you do fly to Vegas often. What is something that has changed your life that you think more people should know about?
Okay, this one has been huge this year, and it is nervous system regulation. I had done all of the mindset work, all of, all this healing, like so much work on myself, and things just still were not clicking. And I remember sitting there one day, I'm like, what the F is going on? Like something has to be different. Like I've done all this work. And one of my friends that I met in a mastermind, I was just rambling with her one day, and we had been acquaintances, but kept in touch every once in a while. She's like, I think I can help you. And she's a somatic coach, a nervous system coach. And I was like, okay, let's try it.
Like, I've tried everything. What's next?
Yes. My life has changed because of regulating my nervous system. And I realized, because I made $1 million within 2 years after launching my firm. And I had nothing to show for it. And I was still making millions of dollars. And it's like, I would get all this money and then I would spend it. And it's like, why can I not hold this money? Why can I not like keep this money? And this whole year I've been working on regulating my nervous system. And ultimately I realized it's because I've been in fight or flight for so long, and having the good, like my system literally could not hold on to the good. And so I would push every good thing away. And so regulating my nervous system has been just like being able to sit and slow down and actually just like sit with all the good things.
I have gone down kind of the rabbit hole on the nervous system as of late, because I think especially when it comes to just us being on our phones and being connected 24/7 and like burnout and all of these things that so many people talk about, but we don't realize like how much of that, even right, having your phone in your pocket all the time and reading text messages or having an Apple Watch, and like just like that connectivity, what it does to your mind in the sense of like never letting it calm down. And that really is like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to somatics and nervous system regulation. So I love that. I'll have to ask you if you have any good resources that we can share, and we'll put those in the show notes. And then you'd said that you've got a course coming up. And so we're going to put that in the show notes as well, the link for that. I think that's it, Andrea. Thank you so much for today. This has been a great conversation. I know it's really enlightening for a ton of our listeners. It is applicable to almost anybody in life. So thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you guys know you can find us back here next week. We're going to have a brand new episode of the show. So until then, welcome to 2026. It is so good to have you here, and what a year we have in store. We'll see you later. If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.